And experts at this year's Future China Global Forum are watching the expected phone call between the U.S. and China's presidents and the implications it could have on the world's two largest economies. Observers are weighing in on what's next for Beijing, which is navigating tensions with Washington and slowing economic growth. For more on this story, we have Olivia Siong, senior editor and senior correspondent, live at Future China Global Forum. Olivia?
Yes, Grace, about half the day has gone by already, and already so many topics have been discussed relating to China's economy as well as China-US tensions. And now I'm joined by the organizer himself, Mr. Lee Yi Shyan, who is the chairman of Business China, the organizer of this particular forum. Mr. Lee, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Olivia.
I would like to jump into this discussion. We've seen earlier today already talks about a whole range of topics. Was this in line with your expectations, or has there been anything that kind of took you by surprise?
Well, absolutely. I think the session went off very well this morning. We started with a session on the macro geopolitics and economy. And we talked about US tension. We talked about, is it a world going to be -1, less the American? What would the rest of the world do in terms of overcoming the global uncertainties? We also talk about specifically on ASEAN. What can we do as a region, in terms of trade and investments? Can the rest of the world make up for the loss, caused by tariff policies? By the American administration.
Yeah, and there are many business leaders and investors in attendance today. Is there a sense from the discussions that you were talking about how optimistic they are about the current global investment climate, especially this year compared to last year when we were sitting here talking as well?
Well, we haven't specifically touched on that point yet because it's still early, in a conference.
You've been speaking with many of them.
Yeah,
too,
but I think based on my recent interactions with businesses both in Singapore and outside, obviously businesses' projection of the future is a bit muted, simply because if they're exporting outside, and most Singapore companies are exporters, if you're in the manufacturing especially, they have to worry about whether the end market is having a tariff, and whether this tariff is going to change over time. And if they are supplying to intermediate market, which find the final market in the US, that has a problem too. So we have a situation where businesses are very careful about their production, just in case they are not able to clear their stock and having a lot of inventory.
There's been a lot of attention also on the world's second largest economy, which is China, which we know is facing headwinds. At the same time, we're also seeing some bright spots. When it comes to businesses that you are interacting with, how are they viewing the prospects of China's economy at this point?
Well, it all depends on which sectors we're talking about. I think in China, sectors related to property, related to home furnishing, related to home loan and so on, these are all slowing down dramatically. And because of the loss of wealth effect, people are also consuming less. So you find that a lot of high-end restaurants and shopping malls, they really face the brunt of reduced spending. But on the other hand, domestic travel in China is doing well. People are traveling to places in their so-called golden weeks in record numbers. And then in tech sectors that are exporting, the sectors are also doing well. So we have a very mixed picture in China right now. And obviously, Singapore has been the largest source of foreign investments in China since 2013. So obviously, companies here are very, they want to look out for potential opportunities wherever they are in China. Yeah.
You talked about a mixed picture, and one of the things that China is trying to do as its economy transforms amid its drag in its real estate sector is boost domestic consumption. Especially this week, we've seen new plans to boost services consumption, and that includes, opening up market access for foreign firms and increasing the supply. Is that something that's attractive to foreign businesses that you're talking to when it comes to the Chinese market?
Well, I think China faces multifold challenges in its current economy. Obviously the property sector is a big drag, and we know when it's doing well, it's a big boost. But in this case, it's a drag because it affects so many sectors. The other issue with China is, I think, the local debt, local governmental debt, either by the government or by their investment vehicles. So I think the market is really waiting for a decisive central policy to round up the bad debts, in the local governments and reset their balance sheet. So if that kind of policy comes about, then the local governments they free up their balance sheets and they can start cash flow again, and some of them will directly help businesses. In this case of encouraging foreign investors coming in, whether it's manufacturing or services, obviously it's a good sign in the right direction, but I think itself will have limited impact.
Why do you say that? There's certain barriers that you're alluding to?
Because, if you want consumption to be a larger proportion of your GDP, you have to, people have to find certainty in jobs, people have to feel wealthy, people have to feel that they have spare money to spend. So allowing the supply side is one thing, but you have to create the demand side. And the demand side comes about, if people are confident about the future, they know that a lot of jobs are coming, they know that they have job certainty, they can plan financially, next year, 5 years, 10 years, then they will increase consumption and also commit to a longer term commitment.
So what sort of signs or policy moves would foreign businesses be looking out for to say, yes, I'm going to make a move to enter the Chinese market or grow my business in China?
I think, of course, China is a very huge country. So certain cities are doing well, and they are not necessarily the first-tier cities. Certain cities, for example, if they are not so adversely affected by the property market, and people will still have stable jobs, and have a relatively positive outlook of, income. So those cities are actually consuming.
Could you give us some examples?
I was told some places like in Changsha is okay, in Chengdu is okay, maybe to a certain extent Wuhan is okay. Yeah. So, but in Tier 1 cities where the property value used to be very high, and then now they have dropped quite significantly. So that's where people feel the pinch.
So Tier 1 cities referring to your Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen.
Yes.
Mr. Lee, our last question, I very quickly also would like to talk to you about, on the flip side, we also see many Chinese businesses looking to expand overseas. What are their considerations?
Well, I think there are two drivers for overseas expansion. First of all, it's a natural outcome of an economy having reached certain scale, right? For the companies, if they reach certain size, they know that there is a big market out there outside China for them to address. So this is no different from the Korean, the Japanese, the American companies venturing overseas in the early days. Then the second driver is really that given the bifurcation in the world market, some Chinese companies, if they figure that it's best for them to provide for China, within China, but find other locations outside China to provide for the world. So because of the bifurcation, they need to split their operations. And going out, to find a good base, for example, in Singapore, will be a priority.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Lee, for those insights and for sharing that with us as we spoke about perhaps some of the considerations of foreign businesses or Chinese businesses when it comes to seeing where they put their money next. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was Mr. Lee Yi Shyan, who is the chairman of Business China. And I'll be having more conversations with other experts later in the day, including Dr. Lola Witzel from Global 6. And she explains to me why she thinks that firms who are looking to enter and invest in China should not just focus on the long-term prospects, but also how it should handle short-term volatility as well. More on that conversation later. Back to you now, Grace.
Looking forward to those conversations, Olivia, and thank you. In the meantime, that was CNA senior editor and senior correspondent Olivia Siong live at the Future China Global Forum.